Liverpool dealt new injury concern before Atletico Madrid as Arne Slot makes early Burnley change. Liverpool boss Arne Slot has been handed a potential injury concern ahead of Wednesday's Champions League showdown with Atletico Madrid, as Alexis Mac Allister was taken off at halftime against Burnley. The Argentine World Cup winner kept his place in the starting lineup for the trip to Turf Moor, as Slot stuck with the same Noan that defeated Arsenal 1-0 just before the international break. However, Mac Allister was the victim of a crunching challenge from Burnley midfielder Leslie Ugochukwu after just 16 minutes, as the Frenchman caught his opposite number on his ankle with studs up. Ugochukwu escaped with a yellow card, seemingly saved by the fact that his foot did not connect higher up Mac Allister's right leg, and the latter was able to power through for the remainder of the first half. Slot ended up taking no risks with the South American, though, withdrawing him for Connor Bradley at halftime as auxiliary right back Dominik Szoboszlai moved back into a midfield role. Mac Allister, an early injury doubt for Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid. Slot had already made one tactical change in the first half of the match, withdrawing struggling left-back Milos Kerkez after the Hungarian was booked for diving and conceded another risky foul late on. Premier League managers only have 3 substitution windows per game, so Mac Allister's withdrawal was almost certainly an enforced one from the Liverpool boss, who will have to make his remaining 3 changes in one go if he wishes to bring in a trio of new players at Turf Moor. As a result, Mac Allister can be considered an early doubt for Wednesday's opening Champions League clash with Atletico Madrid at Anfield, and he may need assessing before next Saturday's Merseyside derby with Everton too. The 26-year-old has endured a troubled start to the season due to injury, only coming off the bench in the Community Shield loss to Crystal Palace and missing the 3-2 win over Newcastle United. Mac Allister's 2024-25 season was curtailed slightly early owing to a muscle problem, prior to which he missed 6 games in December 2023 with a knee concern. Who can replace Mac Allister for Liverpool against Atletico? The 26-year-old has endured a troubled start to the season due to injury, only coming off the bench in the Community Shield loss to Crystal Palace and missing the 3-2 win over Newcastle United. Mac Allister's 2024-25 season was curtailed slightly early owing to a muscle problem, prior to which he missed 6 games in December 2023 with a knee concern. Who can replace Mac Allister for Liverpool against Atletico? As pivotal as Mac Allister has proven to be for Liverpool, the Reds have coped without the former Brighton Hove Albion before, and can do so again if needs be against Atletico. Szoboszlai and Ryan Gravenberch can form an equally effective partnership in the middle of the pitch. Slot revealed a few months ago that the former sees himself as more of a number 8 than a number 10. The Hungarian unexpectedly excelled as a makeshift right back in August, but with Bradley available and Jeremy Frimpong recovered from a hamstring injury, Slot can afford to shift Szoboszlai into a more recognizable central role. Wataru Endo is a more experienced and defensively minded alternative, while Curtis Jones could also fill the Mac Allister void, but may miss Wednesday's tie due to an unspecified issue. On a brighter note, Alexander Isak could earn his Reds debut against Atletico, as Slot dropped a major hint over his involvement in the Champions League tie after he failed to make the matchday squad at Burnley. Arne Slot explains plan for Alexander Isak after having to leave Liverpool striker out versus Burnley. Alexander Isak is not part of Liverpool's squad for the Premier League match against Burnley. Arne Slot, manager of Liverpool, arrives at the stadium prior to the Premier League match between Burnley and Liverpool at Turf Moor on September 14, 2025. Arne Slot has revealed Liverpool club record signing. Alexander Isak is being lined up for a debut against Atletico Madrid in midweek, after explaining his absence from Burnley. Isak wasn't even part of the matchday squad that traveled to Turf Moor on Sunday afternoon for the Premier League showdown against the promoted Clarets. The striker, who completed a £125 million move to Anfield from Newcastle United on deadline day at the start of the month, made his first appearance since May when making a late cameo from the bench for Sweden last Monday. And Slot believes the Burnley clash came too soon for Isak and explained why the 25-year-old is almost certain to feature when the Reds begin their Champions League campaign at home to Atletico on Wednesday evening. As everybody knew, he didn't have any team training at Newcastle, then went to the national team, and only played there for 15-20 20 minutes, said Slot. We think, with a week where we play 3 games in 7 days, this is the best lead-up for him to be available against Atletico Madrid. Asked how quickly Isak can get up to speed, Slot told Sky Sports, "That's always difficult to say, up to full speed. What I can say is that normally in a preseason, after 1 or 2 weeks you play your first 45, 60 minutes. You build that up gradually. But that you do with proper training sessions during the week. And now we hardly have any proper training sessions with the team because we play, like I just said, 3 games in 7 days." So where would he be? Second or third week of preseason, I would say, so able to hopefully play during the week 45 minutes or more. But then 2 days later, as you know, we play Everton again. It's going to be interesting for the performance staff, for us, to get the best out of him at the start, but also to keep him available for the end. What to make of Florian Wirtz's slow Liverpool start? German international trying to find his place at Anfield. With a victory over Burnley on Sunday, Liverpool can go clear atop the league with a perfect 4 wins from 4 matches. Yet it doesn't feel like the Reds have hit anything close to their top gear under Arne Slot. Looking to fit new signings into the 1-1 and figure out how to find the best positions for the squad, year 2 in charge has brought tough decisions for Slot, and it will only continue to do so. Now, Alexander Isak will be available, only bringing new lineup questions for the Reds. Hugo Ekitike has had a strong start to the season with 2 goals and an assist in league play. But now he'll likely need to move to the wing when Isak is ready to start. Given that for most of his time at Eintracht Frankfurt, Ekitike was the secondary attacker to Omar Marmoush. So this isn't a role where he'll feel out of place at Liverpool. But it does also give Slot more options for how to set up his squad. With the Champions League phase beginning Tuesday, rotation will be needed, and players like Cody Gakpo, Florian Wirtz and Ekitike will all see time on the bench, which could be a good thing for Wirtz. Yet to record a goal or assist in 3 Premier League games so far, it has been a step back since his time at Bayer Leverkusen. A volume attacker, Wirtz is taking almost 25 fewer touches per game so far at Liverpool. There are a few reasons for that, ranging from the style of play to there being less space in the Premier League. But one thing that's also important is that Wirtz was the star on Leverkusen, and everything went through him. Liverpool have a collection of stars in their own right, so even Mohamed Salah doesn't dominate possession for the Reds. Wirtz will likely gain more possession as the season goes on, but this is also where it's important to note that Liverpool are also preparing it for next season with these additions. Slot's side are tailor-made for a 3-4-3, but that's not able to be played right now with Salah in the side because one of Wirtz, Isak, or Ekitike would need to be out of the lineup. It's already a rotation question with Dominik Szoboszlai, and it's something that comes with being a top club in the world. Slot has to keep players happy in their roles while pushing the right buttons to keep Liverpool at the top of the league. So far, he has been able to do that without needing Wirtz to be at his best. But in the Champions League, Wirtz will need to take a step forward. Liverpool finished atop the league phase table last campaign, but were unable to win the competition and also got knocked out of the FA Cup by Plymouth Argyle. Those things are easier to stomach while marching toward the title. But if the Reds aren't able to make deep runs this season, they could be the beginning of a worrisome trend. As games start coming thick and fast, Wirtz needs to be at his best, or Liverpool will begin to struggle. A team can only outperform not playing to their full potential for so long in the Premier League. Real Madrid staff openly discussing signing of Ibrahima Konate on free transfer from Liverpool in repeat of Trent Alexander-Arnold saga. Real Madrid are reportedly growing in confidence that they can secure Liverpool defender Ibrahima Konate on a free transfer next summer. The Frenchman, out of contract at Anfield in 2026, is said to be the subject of internal discussions among Los Blancos staff, who believe they are close to reaching a verbal agreement with the 26-year-old center-back. What happened? According to the Daily Mail, Real Madrid believe Konate could follow a similar path to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was strongly linked with Los Blancos for years before joining as a free agent. The same sources who broke news of Alexander-Arnold's move to the Santiago Bernabeu last year now claim senior Los Blancos officials have even openly discussed securing the Frenchman. Liverpool, meanwhile, remain in contract talks, but no deal has yet been struck. The bigger picture. The situation has intensified after Konate appeared on French TV, joking about Kylian Mbappe calling every 2 hours to tempt him to make the switch to Real Madrid. While Liverpool insists they have had no communication suggesting the defender wants to leave, uncertainty lingers. Any foreign club can formally approach Konate from January 1st, further raising speculation. Did you know? Konate's current contract expires in the summer of 2026, and Liverpool opened renewal talks last November. However, no progress has been made, and Madrid are said to be watching closely. The 15-time European champions are said to view the defender as a long-term partner for Eder Militao, with depth increasingly key to their squad planning. They also signed Dean Huijsen from Bournemouth this summer. What next for Konate? Liverpool will push to secure Konate's future before the January window to avoid losing leverage. Real Madrid, however, are confident they can lure him with the promise of silverware and a lucrative contract. For now, the defender remains undecided, but the coming months could prove decisive for both his career and Liverpool's defensive plans. Marc Guehi makes telling Crystal Palace admission after Liverpool transfer collapse. Marc Guehi saw a transfer to Premier League champions Liverpool fall through on transfer deadline day this summer, but the Crystal Palace star is focusing on the season at Selhurst Park. Marc Guehi saw a move from Crystal Palace to Liverpool fall through. Marc Guehi isn't worrying too much about his failed Liverpool transfer and is instead focusing on his performances with Crystal Palace. The England defender saw a transfer to the Premier League champions fall through on transfer deadline day this summer. The Eagles agreed a deal with their top-flight rivals to sell the club captain, who is out of contract next summer, for a fee of £35 million plus a 10% sell-on clause. Guehi underwent a medical with the Reds in London as the deadline approached. But Eagles Supremo Steve Parish pulled the plug on the deal, forcing Guehi to remain in South London. The defender then went on international duty, where he scored his first goal for England in the 5-0 win over Serbia. He has since returned to Palace and will captain the club against Sunderland on Saturday in his first match for the club since the awkward saga. Speaking ahead of the match in his program notes, he made a point of saying he's excited to play alongside the club's new signings and is hopeful that the club can enjoy a successful season. He said, "I'd like to welcome Jeremy, Pino, JD, Canvote, and Christantus Uche to the team. They will all bring a high level of quality to the squad, and I look forward to playing alongside them." Looking at today's game, we have another challenging task against the Sunderland team, who have started the season very well. Our traveling support is always special to us, but now is a chance to show everyone once again that Selhurst Park is up there with the very best atmospheres in the Premier League. We'll all be giving everything to get another 3 points this afternoon. Make some noise, back the team, and let's keep this fantastic run going. Guehi's manager Oliver Glasner also dismissed rumors of tension between him and club chairman Parish over the failed transfer to Liverpool. Glasner, whose side will bid to extend their unbeaten league start against Sunderland, said, "I never threatened to leave the club, never. I didn't have to threaten anybody." The Eagles agreed a deal with their top-flight rivals to sell the club captain. There were no bad tensions between the chairman and myself. It was really just a discussion about sports, and he decided against the money and for the sporting perspective of Crystal Palace. Big credit to the chairman. Glasner was also full of praise for Guehi, adding, "It was clear for him that he stuck to his contract. It is credit to Marc that he never threatened to strike. He is a very honest person. That is why I was never worried about this situation. He will be our captain as long as he's here, because he's just such a great player and such a great personality." Arne Slot makes Liverpool promise. After £125 million, Alexander Isak transfer. Write this down for every agent. Arne Slot speaks in detail about £125 million striker Alexander Isak ahead of his potential Liverpool debut at Burnley this weekend. Arne Slot speaks to the media before Liverpool take on Burnley. Arne Slot has dismissed concerns of Alexander Isak one day going on strike at Liverpool. The Reds boss has insisted the club has always helped facilitate moves for those who want to leave Anfield. And Slot, who could hand the £125 million striker his debut at Burnley on Sunday, has outlined what made Liverpool make the Sweden international the most expensive footballer in British history from Newcastle United on transfer deadline day. A summer-long saga saw Isak first refuse to fly out on Newcastle's tour of the Far East, by citing a minor injury in July before he returned to training by using the facilities of former club Real Sociedad without the knowledge of Magpies chiefs. The 25-year-old was subsequently banished from the squad by former boss Eddie Howe before an explosive statement that spoke of broken promises and lost trust was published on Isak's social media accounts, just moments after he was included in the PFA's Team of the Year at an event he didn't attend at Manchester Opera House on August 19th. The two clubs eventually agreed an eye-watering fee of £125 million on August 31st, and the attacker completed his medical the following day before flying out on international duty, where he made his first appearance since May in Sweden's 2-0 defeat to Kosovo on Monday evening. Asked if he feared similarly controversial efforts from Isak to leave Liverpool, who he joined on a 6-year deal on September 1st, Slot said, "No, not at all. It is not necessary at our club because we also trade players. If a player wants to leave and we get the right money for him, then this club has shown for so many years now that we then do so. At this club, it is not necessary at all to go on strike. I think it will have the opposite effect. You can keep on training here, and Harvey Elliott gets his transfer to Aston Villa. Tyler Morton gets his transfer to Lyon. There were maybe 8, 9, 10 players in the last window who just conducted themselves in the best possible way. And we are a club that is trading, so maybe write this down for every agent that has a player here. It is not necessary. If the right price is paid by the right club for the right player, then this club has shown we always do sell because we need this to get our players in. That is different. That is a very positive thing at this club. You get your transfer if everyone is happy." Isak is not expected to start when the champions are entertained by Burnley on Sunday afternoon, having played just 18 minutes since May. But Slot expects the new number 9 to show why he is recognized as one of the best front men around when fully fit. At this moment in time, he isn't the best striker in the world, for the simple reason he has been out for 4 months. The Reds boss added, "If you write I said he is not the best in the world, you have to add that bit, or it is not completely fair because he is one of the best in the world." But for him to become the best in the world, I think the best players in the world win trophies. And that is what he and we need to do for him or someone else to be seen as the best or one of the best. I think there are many reasons why we signed him, but one that maybe stands out for me is that he has already shown this in the Premier League, and I think he is the only exception we made in terms of signing. He is a little bit older than the rest, still quite young, but a bit older, and showed himself in the Premier League. It might put pressure on him and me, but nothing extra. But if have this Liverpool badge on your shirt, there is always pressure. If we wouldn't have signed him, you would probably have told me that you still expect us to compete for the league, which is what we expect from ourselves, so this pressure is always there. Get LFC's 2025-26 third kit. Liverpool's third kit for the 2025-26 season follows the unveiling of the home and away strips and are the first in their new partnership with Adidas. In terms of the money spent for one player, that is also part of our model. It is not the first time we have done this. We did it when I was not there. The ownership did this with Virgil, with Allister, and now with Florian Wirtz now as well. This is the model we use. We target a player and we want to have him. We decide what his value is. If that matches with what the club wants, then we are not afraid to act. We get that money from trading players and winning the league after we didn't spend anything at all.